going on, everyone? My name is Eric. This is The Road to Freedom. Thanks for joining me. Okay, now we're going to talk about income issues. We're going to talk about the number one killer to your wealth, which is lifestyle creep. And I got some stuff for you if you have an income issue. First, let's get into our top 10 goals. This is my second take, so I'm going to go ahead and act like I'm writing and just pause it until you get done. Okay, and just join us again. All right, so we got your top 10 goals down. We should have some fire under our ass, right? We got some financial goals. Finance is a part of our goals. Okay, so let's say that you're looking at your budget, you're looking at expenses, and you're saying, hey man, I can't really move on these variable expenses. Like I limited it down as much as I can, and my fixed expenses, they are what they are, right? And you're making, let's say under $60,000, right? So you're under average household median income in the United States. Okay. So the first thing I would caution you on is what's called lifestyle creep. This is the number one killer. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you keep on fucking this one up, you will fuck up everything else. So here's what lifestyle creep is. You know, like whenever you're a kid and then you get your first job, what do? You spend as much as you make. And then you get your first big person job, you make some more, spend as much as you make, right? And you just keep on doing this. And at the end of the month, you ain't got nothing left over, right? It's because you're increasing your lifestyle, which is causing the issue. So I'll tell you a quick story. I got two stories for you today. First story is this. I'm at this business kickoff. There's this guy in his mid to late 50s. He is a billionaire and he's selling a product, hedge funds. But during his speech, he shares that he used to be in his 20s in the working class. So you got poor class, poverty level, you got working class, you got middle class, right? Like lower middle, upper middle, or middle, upper middle, affluent, right? So he's down here in his 20s and now he's up here in his 50s. So anyway, he gives the presentation and then I got the opportunity to go ask some questions. So I go ask some questions. One of the questions I asked was, hey, got a question for you, man. How'd you go from working class to $1 billion? Not a millionaire, not a multimillionaire, a billionaire, right? And what he did was he shared it with me. He says, you know, he married young, married in his early 20s. Him and his wife got on the same page. They said they were going to save half of their income, working class, saving half of their income. They made that decision early on and they stuck to it. And one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And now the individual's worth $1 billion when he was presenting to me. This is back in, I believe, 2016. So lifestyle creep can be a huge thing. If we can nip it in the bud now, then we can start really building ourselves well when it comes to finances or whatever your goals are. You're gonna have more discretionary income as you increase your career. All right, so now let's say lifestyle creep isn't the problem. It really is an income issue. Let me tell you another story. Same company, we're doing this Best Buy program. My job is to go in there, go sell a product, also teach all these other Best Buy folks how to sell that product, right? But I gotta keep up with my numbers. So this guy walks in, I do my stuff, I do my pitch. He goes, hey man, I'm good, but got a question for you. I need to install my Wi-Fi in my home. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Tell you what, Best Buy can do it for $75 or I'll charge you $150. Think about that. I'm saying they'll charge you one amount, I'll charge you twice the amount, right? And so he goes, Eric, why would I pay you $150 per visit? And I said, sir, here's the thing. Whenever you call Best Buy, they're gonna get out to you eventually. Whenever you call me, I'm there every time. So he hired me. And all I was doing was just setting up Wi-Fi, set up some other stuff, running some cat wire, right? Some cat 5s. And after $1,000 that he already paid me after a couple of visits, he's going to pay me some more. He's feeding me. At the time I left my car in Colorado, so I was without a car. He picked me up. This guy was super awesome. His name was Dr. Dave. And so he's getting ready to pay me my amount, and I've already made $1,000. And I'm like, Dr. Dave, look, I cannot keep taking your money. Like, this is not ethical. I'm just installing Wi-Fi. Like, this is easy. And he said, Eric, I gotta pay you, right? And I was like, well, how about this? How about you teach me how you got where you're at? And so that opened up a whole new relationship with Dr. Dave. And some things about him is that he downsized to a place in a really nice area where the rent was $5,000 a month. He had a private island with a bridge, and he was the only one who lived out there. And he downgraded to this $5,000 a month rent. So he taught me a couple of things. He says, Eric, if you want to make as much as me, or you want to live like me, there's 3 ways to get there. 1, you become so educated that there's no one else around who can do it. That's what he did. In the state of Oregon, he was the only one who could do it. 2, you can do something extremely dangerous. Or 3, you can do something that no one wants to do. And at the time, I was on that. So, highly educated, like a doctorate, postdoctorate, right, in a specialty, that's one way you can do that. Doing something dangerous, like roughnecking, oil rigging, right? That is a dangerous as fuck job. That's the reason why those roustabouts will make, like, roustabout is like lowest person in the shop. They work crazy hours, but they're making $10,000, $15,000 a month. Right? That's entry. Dangerous job though. So you can do that. Or you can do what I was doing. I was doing door-to-door sales at the time. No one wants to do that. There's a lot of money in that. All right. So that said, we're going to talk about some things. The reason why I'm qualified to talk about this is because I'm a recruiter. So that's what I do. That's how I put food on the table. In part of this recruiting, that comes career coaching. Also, it comes knowing, the labor market, right? Again, I got to know this stuff so I can put food on the table. So I got this nice little whiteboard here. We're going to talk about some stuff. We got stages that you're in. Okay, excuse me. So maybe you're new to the career field, like your workforce, or maybe you're re-entering. You're a mom, just getting back into it, or you just got out of prison, right, or something. I don't know why you're re-entering, but you're re-entering. Then let's say you're currently in the workforce, but you're underemployed, working part-time hours, or you're underpaid, right? Or you're making a new career switch. Before we get into this though, in December 2021, there's this thing that's happening in the United States called the Great Exodus. This is the time right now to increase your income, okay? The reason why is because it's anticipated that 40%, almost half of the employees who work in the United States are going to leave their role. Their current role that they had before COVID, they're gonna leave it, right? 4 out of 10 people, bye-bye, okay? So right now, when it comes to negotiation power, perceived power, right, negotiations, the employee has the bargaining chips. The employer back in 2008 had it. We all remember what it was like in 2008, okay? So if you wanna increase your income and that's your focus over soft benefits like working remote, this may be the time for you to increase your income. So let's talk about this. And all the stuff we're going to be going over, we'll put it in the description below, okay? So let's say you're entering or you're re-entering the workforce. First thing I would recommend for you to do, let's say you're in school or you're getting a cert or where the fuck, I would recommend that you go to BLS.gov. That's Bureau of Labor Statistics.gov. The reason why I recommend this is because back when I was going to school, so I got a bachelor's of arts in human resource management, personnel psychology with a minors in business administration. It's fancy for just a fucking piece of paper, right? But they were telling me at the time that when I graduated, I would make $60,000, $60K. And I was like, hell yeah, what's up, right? Here's the reality. My first job was not $60K. It wasn't even fucking close. It was like half that, right? So they sold me a pipe dream. I know all these colleges are selling you a pipe dream, right? Whether it's a trade school or it's a university, they're selling you a fucking pipe dream, okay? Go here, and this will give you not only the average amount that you'll be making, the average person makes in that role, it'll also give you an inferential or prediction over the next 10 years of what that growth rate is. Now the growth rate is like, people, like new roles added, okay? So people retiring isn't counted. On average, you're gonna see 4 to 7% of increase, Okay, 4 to 7%. If you see anything more than 7%, that's good. You're in the right spot, right? It's the right role you want to go for. So last time I looked this up, here's some quick numbers. Computer scientists was up by 30-some%. Physicians assistants, because a lot of doctors want to specialize because they make more money, right? And they can actually pay their student debt. We need generalists, so physician assistants is a good one. And then that was another 30%. And then solar techs, right? That was up 100 and some odd % at the time, because we're going towards renewable energy, right? So let's talk about this. One requires a bachelor's, one requires a master's, okay? We're gonna get to the master's in a second, but just look at that, okay? It's gonna let you know how many years, what kind of certs, average pay, growth rate. Great information, go check this out. BLSgov, there's a search bar on the right, type in your job that you wanna go for, hit enter, it'll pull up a handbook, just click on that one, pop up the job, and you'll be able to see all the information. Great stuff. All right, so this is for you just graduated or you're coming back to the workforce, you already have a career, right? You're just getting back into it. So just graduated, let's say a bachelor's in accounting, okay? First off, you went for a bachelor's in accounting, you did not go to BLS.gov, you just fucked yourself. I would highly recommend you would go here before you go into that career field. But let's say you did it. Here's what I would also recommend. Go to a staffing agency, okay? So anecdotally, not necessarily for entry level, okay, but for more senior roles, I think it's somewhere around 70-80% of roles that are actually open are not posted. You're not gonna see them, okay? So networking is super key, right? Going to these networking events, getting on LinkedIn groups, right? Doing that stuff is super key. If you're behind the 8 ball and you have not done that, you wanna go to a staffing agency because they're gonna know about roles before you do, okay? I would recommend that you go to many staffing agencies and don't sleep on your roles. Keep applying to other roles. There's reasons for that, and we'll go into it, but staff agencies, great shit. All right, underemployed. Again, go to staff agencies, right? They're gonna help you find the role that you wanna get into. So if you're only working part-time, let's say there was, you missed the reduction in force, or you haven't been able to find a full-time role, they can give you contracts, or they can get you full-time employment to get you to your full-time, your need. Or if you have extra time, you can always go to this, and they'll have a night role or weekend role or something like that. Great stuff. All right, underpaid. So there's this thing called Payskills. Payskills is kind of like Glassdoor, except it's not bullshit, okay? So Glassdoor is like Wikipedia. You got a bunch of folks who add information, and it can be true or not true. And we all know Wikipedia is cool, but it's not accurate, right? We all know that. So Glassdoor is bullshit. Payskills is scientific. So whenever a company decides your pay scale, they go to this, they pay for this membership, and then they find out, based upon the job description or JD, that's a range of what they should be paying you, okay? So you can actually go here for free, type in your stuff like, I'm in HR, I've got 7 years of experience, I'm in tech, I live near Seattle, I put all that information in, it pops me up some information, gives me bottom 10%, top 10% with the middle. Okay, so whenever I go in to a job interview, I know about what I'm worth. That's what I did, right? That's what I did. And if it's time for you to, evals come up and you want to renegotiate your pay, this is something you want to bring to the table. Your HR group or your talent management group is already using this. Okay, so you're just providing information they already have. Next one, if you're underpaid, what I'm about to say is not necessarily for STEM. It's not necessarily for senior leadership or executives. But let's say you're an individual contributor, okay? Getting a master's does not necessarily help you. You're just gonna acquire more debt, not necessarily get more pay. If you want to move towards senior leadership someday, you're probably gonna need that MBA, right? But for the rest of us, it's certificates. And the reason why I say that is because I call it the McDonald's effect. So why do we go to McDonald's? We go to McDonald's because we know every time that we order that cheeseburger, it's going to taste exactly the same. We know what we're going to get. In the same way, companies are relying on certs as they know what they're going to get, and it also lowers liability, right? Whenever they take someone on. Here's an example. There's this role called a PMO director, project management office director. Okay, so it's like you got project manager, then you got the people that's above all the other project managers, right? Like a manager kind of role. It's kind of weird what it's called and what that means. Anyway, so it's a leadership position, and there's folks who've been doing project management for 20 years. 20 years, leading millions of dollars of initiatives under budget, never over time, right? All within their requirements, right? And but the thing was that they had this certificate called a PMP, Project Management Professional, right? And so there was folks who had 20 years experience, and I could not talk to them. They weren't qualified. But there was folks who had 7 to 9 years experience, but they had the PMP, and those are the folks I was talking about. So at the market I was working in, it was $80,000 to $120,000 for the project management professional. This director role was $165,000, right? So it would have made them working rich in that market. And the reason why I couldn't talk to these guys, and I can only talk to these guys or gals, is because of that one certificate. That's it. That's fucking it. So certificates is where it's at, okay? The master's may not help you unless you're moving towards that senior leadership executive or you're in STEM. All right, another thing I forgot to put on here, because of the great exodus, you want to go on LinkedIn, okay? As a recruiting professional, I really hate the way that a lot of folks do the stuff. They lost the craft, right? They lost it. They go on LinkedIn, they look for folks who have that open to work thing, they click on it, they send you an email, that's all they do, right? They're fucking lazy. I got my 2 cents about it. I won't get into it, but they're lazy. So we can actually leverage that though. You want to get on LinkedIn if you're not already on there. If you make $75,000 or above on average, that's where you want to go, okay? Or if you want to make $75,000 or above, that's where recruiters are going to find you, okay? So you go on your profile, go to your homepage, you click to open to work, you type in your roles, right? And then people are going to start pinging you. Now the cool thing is that LinkedIn is not going to allow people from your company to see it, or the recruiters from your company to see it. It's going to let other people like me see that you're open to work, and I'll reach out to you. So you're going to get a bunch of emails. Hope you enjoy that one. All right, now you want to make a new career move. You're like the 40% of Americans right now, usually millennials, who want to make a new career switch. Cool, got you. Back when I was a headhunter, right, one of the owners taught me FIL, which is an acronym, Function, Industry, Location. What's important to us is function and industry for tonight, okay? So there's a couple things that you can do. You can look upstream and downstream of your industry. For example, you have a specific role and you're in supply chain. What's upstream? Manufacturing. What's downstream? Commercial user, okay? So you want to stay in your specific role, but you want to move up or downstream, okay? Then let's say that you want to make a career switch. Okay, cool. You're doing inside sales, let's say, or you're doing tech. You're a system administrator, right? And you're doing tech, and you have a choice. Let's say you don't want to move out of industry. You don't want to specialize in system admin, but you want to stay in the same industry, and you want to move around. Okay, so what's upstream? We have project management, you have business analyst, okay? They would love your experience over here. They love that shit. Or you can move a little bit downstream. Downstream of hardware is software. Maybe you move into DBA, database administrator, right? So you're looking at function or you're looking at industry. That's a good way to move. And then you won't take as much of a hit whenever you move on to your new career. And again, go back to BLSgov to see if it's going to be around where you want to be at, okay? Last one is certs, specialties, niche. So back in 2019, I was doing recruiting, corporate guy, and I was like, I want to specialize, right? Because it's all about relative economy, right? So I was like, I want to specialize in engineering and tech, okay? So what I did was I started making moves to get me towards engineering and tech. Now I'm a tech recruiter, okay? So you can do certs whenever you look for, or you can look for a new role in your specialty, and then just highlight that thing that you want on your resume. Like when I was moving to tech recruiter, I started highlighting all the tech roles that I was filling, right? And you just speak solely to that. Now, whenever you're a generalist, if the market does a downturn, which it will, every 7 to 10 years, it will, the generalist is more likely to survive. Okay, it's more likely to survive. Just like humans and nature, we're generalists, so we survive. We go through these epochs to where there's like extinctions and stuff, and we survive. But a hummingbird, which is a super specialist, right, will die because of climate change. It's going to go extinct, right? Because the environment's changing, therefore it will go extinct because its necessary things are going away. So generalist is not bad. You're just going to make less money. Now, if you're going to go specialist like I did, you want to sit back and think, okay, what's going to be around in 20 years? Okay, I knew that engineering STEM is not going away, right? Tech is not going away. So I specialized in that. Now, whenever I go do an interview, I can command more money. It's like 1/4 more, 25% more, right? So in my market, people are making X because I'm a specialist and I have a different title and I focus on this one thing, I make 25% more. So I know those a lot. So we went over lifestyle creep. Again, if you're doing lifestyle creep, I would please stop. Please fucking stop. It's gonna kill your wealth. That's the #1 killer, okay? But if you're really honest to God having an income issue, let's say you're making under $55,000 or $60,000, which I think is the average household income, and you're having an income issue, then you can look at these things, okay? So we're gonna move on to the next section. Probably gonna get away from budget and expenses and start going into something else, but I'll catch y'all around. Hasta.